Hey guys, wanted to jump in here real quick and talk about Amy Coney Barrett being Trump's nominee. I put out a video last night that I think pretty well explained my position on it. That means that in the next month, we'll be looking at the confirmation process to see if they have some dirt on her now that they already planned on releasing. If that happens during the confirmation, I think that they played him. If it doesn't, and the election ends up at the Supreme Court, which I'm betting it will, we'll have to see if she sides with the Republicans or if she does a 180. I'll tell you one thing. I sure as heck hope I'm wrong. All right, let's get into the video. The Flynn family released today a statement. I'm going to read to you that statement, but first I want you to understand the context as to why they're issuing a statement today. If you'll remember a little while back, the government declassified handwritten notes from James Baker questioning why were they interviewing Flynn? Was it for blackmail? And then quickly after that, we had the Struck page text messages that were released. This is right when Sidney Powell filed for the motion to dismiss. Knowing all of that, Judge Emmett Sullivan refused the dismissal. My bet is he's going to regret that because they were forced into doing another document dump. Let's go read about it. New Flynn document dump poses huge trouble for Dems. Look at that hero. In early September, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit rejected General Michael Flynn's petition for dismissal and voted 8-2 to send the case back to Judge Emmett Sullivan. The judge, who rejected the Department of Justice dismissal of the case, must now consider documents Flynn's attorneys filed with the court on Thursday. General Flynn has a Sixth Amendment right to a public exoneration regarding the proceedings against him, the documents state, and the American people have a right to know the truth about the nefarious conduct and the people who committed it. Defense objects to any redactions and demands that the government file these documents unredacted on the public record. In messages exchanged on the FBI's Link messaging system in October of 2016, FBI employees exchanged messages about the Crossfire Roadshow, stating that they were interested to see how all of this plays out. They knew exactly how bad it was. I'm telling you, man, if this thing ever gets FOIA'd, there are going to be some tough questions asked. According to the documents, the investigation of General Flynn was first closed by November 8, 2016. The FBI agents write, he said shut down Razor, the operation against Flynn, and, quote, so glad they're closing Razor. However, redacted was silent though, so who knows what he will want. Was that Andy McCabe, question mark? Probably struck. FBI employees noted that the decision to NSL National Security Letter finances for Razor bought him time. This shows their recognition that the issuance or request for national security letters from General Flynn's financial information was a ruse to get more time to keep the investigation against him open. These Stalinist tactics mandate immediate dismissal of this case. Analysts recognized by December 5, 2016, it was not even a logical investigative step to seek General Flynn's financial records at the time, and at that, this is a nightmare. On that same day, analysts discussed NSLs as a pretext to buy time that also increased the risk of leaks. They also noted it was a topic that makes no sense since the argument was made back in August. FBI employees discussed the January 5, 2017 briefing of Obama. What's the word on how O's briefing went? Asked one employee, to which the other replied, don't know, but people here are scrambling for info to support certain things, and it's a madhouse. Trump was right. Still not put together. Why do we do this to ourselves? What is wrong with these people? FBI analysts knew it was so bad that they, quote, all went and purchased professional liability insurance. The concern when we got it was that there was a big leak at DOJ and the New York Times, among others, was going to do a piece. Further, the new AG might have some questions. Then, yada, 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 we all get screwed. On January 13, 2017, FBI employees messaged that, quote, someone leaked the Flynn calls with Kislyak to the Wall Street Journal. In a response reeking with sarcasm, an FBI employee messaged, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'll resume my duties as Chief Morale Officer and rectify that. Newly produced notes of Peter Strzok show that Strzok met with Deputy Assistant Attorney General Bruce Swartz, Lisa, and George at DOJ on March 28, 2017, where he noted Flynn Intel Group, quote, satisfied the registration obligation and no evidence of any willfulness. Nonetheless, Bruce decided to issue subpoenas to Flynn Intel Group and more. According to Exhibits C and D, the new Strzok page text messages show that Strzok played games with the FBI Sentinel sterilization system and entry of 302s. Strzok and Page were pulling talking points from a Lawfare article. And Pamela Brown knows there were 2 phone call memos. Further, these text messages reinforce how zealously Strzok and Page were working to oppose Trump's election and subvert the peaceful transfer of power. And guys, you'll remember a while back I covered some Q. He was posting about the Sentinel system, and it kind of bothered me because it was an open-ended post. And I went through the Sentinel system. We all went through it together, and we found out that that was how they were replacing the 302s, and that it was a system that was not supposed to be able to be jinked with. Well, it is able to be changed, and what Q is saying is, but not without logs. Let's go look at that. And this is the Q post I'm talking about. It's 4628. Whenever I brought it up, I was like, I haven't taught Q in a long time. I'm not sure I actually maybe even released that video. Regardless, this was Q's post. It was on September 2nd, so at the beginning of the month, weeks ago, before we knew anything about these releases. And it says, files do not go missing unless the 7th floor direct involvement. Follow the logs. The link is to the FBI Sentinel system. And so I clicked around in the Sentinel system, and I obviously don't have any logs to follow. Q's obviously talking to somebody here who does. And I'm starting to think it might be Sidney Powell, because the revelations that are in the latest file drops involve Peter Strzok and Lisa Page altering and disappearing 302s in the Sentinel system, which is what we just read. So it's quite possible Q was talking to Sidney Powell or the person who's leaking to Sidney Powell, because it is very relevant to what we're talking about right now. That Q was talking about the Sentinel system back at the beginning of September, and now we're getting revelations first released to the mainstream that the 302s inside the Sentinel system were definitely altered. So yeah, it looks like Q knew about this document dump at the beginning of the month. Might have even been helping people along. And for anybody who doesn't know, the 7th floor, that is referred to as the 7th floor of the State Department, and it was where all the cronies were meeting to wargame a strategy to commit a coup d'etat on our president. And guys, I'll put links to all of this information down in the show notes. The show notes are the first comment underneath my pinned comment, and you'll see every link there you need to see to get to the things that I'm talking about here. Regardless, let's get back to this article so that we can read the Flynn family statement at the end of the video. Newly produced notes of Andrew McCabe show that at 5:15 p.m. on May 10th, 2017, McCabe briefed the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. They were trying very hard to pin something on General Flynn. According to an exhibit in the documents, blackmail was, quote, theoretically possible, not the strongest theory. According to Flynn's attorneys, Jesse Bennell and Sidney Powell, the government provided copies of the production with all necessary redactions for public dissemination. These documents evidence stunning government misconduct that mandates the immediate dismissal of wrongful prosecution. As the attorneys conclude, there was no case against General Flynn. There was no crime. The FBI and the prosecutors knew that. This American hero and his entire family have suffered for 4 years from public abuse, slander, libel, and all means of defamation at the hands of the very government he pledged his life to defend. For these reasons, and all those previously briefed, the government's motion to dismiss should now be granted with prejudice, instantaneous, for multiple violations of Brady and the wrongful prosecution of General Flynn when the agents and prosecutors knew there was no crime. This hideous abuse of power and travesty of justice has only been exacerbated by the unprecedented and baseless rulings of this court, and it should not continue another day. savage. As President Trump likes to say, we'll have to see what happens. And the last paragraph that is quoted in that article, which is an article from Front Page magazine, is a paragraph in the motion for submission of evidence by Sidney Powell, where she submitted evidence exhibit C and D, and she included that paragraph with it. That is just one of the most savage paragraphs I've ever seen written. We're going to have to see if this moves Judge Emmett Sullivan, because believe it or not, there's already been some pretty obvious evidence that's come out that shows that there was wrongdoing on the part of the people prosecuting Flynn, the people who set Flynn up, and the people who were defending him at first. So we'll have to see what's going on with all of that, because Judge Emmett Sullivan obviously doesn't have to do a dang thing. They can't even get their writ of mandamus enforced, so that Judge Sullivan has to dismiss the case. He's going to get to do whatever he wants to do. We'll see. But John Sullivan, who was removed from Twitter recently, so I'm featuring him just to let my audience know, he has a YouTube channel. I will put it in the show notes. It's called, hold on, is it Behind the News? It's Just the News. So you can find him at YouTube. Just the News is the name of the channel. He was removed from Twitter. This is probably the number one or number two, number three investigative reporter in my lifetime that had time in the corporate legacy media. And they disabled his Twitter account. I'm telling you guys, it's election rigging. They are committing election interference. Even what they did taking me off Facebook, that is election interference. In 2016, I was knee deep in the meme war. And a lot of my listeners are old Facebook friends of mine, and they know we pushed hard in 2016. We got it out there on social media. They stopped that this time. I had to move to a YouTube channel to try to get the message out because I was savagely throttled on Facebook. Unbelievable what they're allowed to do. So Twitter's removed John Solomon. Why? Because they don't like what he says. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. This is literally like a minute and a half, and he's going to sum up this entire video of mine because that's just how badass he is. And then you should go subscribe to his channel because you won't even have to watch mine anymore on stuff like this. No, I'm joking. I have good insight. Let's watch this 1 minute summation of what I've been talking about. It may help you out. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, and then I'm going to read these letters.
All right, folks, a dizzying amount of revelations today from FBI documents, all related to the Russia case. We now have an FBI agent, the lead FBI agent against Mike Flynn, testifying that they never, during 3 years of the Russia case, they never had collusion. They never had evidence of any criminal wrongdoing with special counsel Robert Mueller or the original FBI probe, yet agents kept the case going. Robert Mueller's team kept the case going because they were interested in, according to this FBI agent, get Trump. It was a political investigation, he said, not one based on evidence of wrongdoing. At the same time that agent's testimony came out, we found out that text messages from the analysts, the people going through the intelligence, working on the Russia case, believed that the FBI was engaged in such misconduct, particularly targeting Michael Flynn, the former National Security Advisor, that they were seeking to buy liability insurance because they were certain they were going to be sued. That was what was going on in the FBI that we did not know for the last 4 years.
So yeah, John Solomon's pretty awesome. Now, the Flynn family statement. First, before I read it, let me just say, I read the family statement out of respect for the family. What I've seen is a family, a great American family, that came together and circled the wagons and became closer and stronger when they came together. And I really respect the hell out of that. Thinking back, I'm not shocked that that's what the Flynn family did. And I thank God that he was where he was at the time that he was. I know that God sometimes asks men to bear larger burdens than others. When I see the burden that General Flynn has had to bear, I just can't help but to think about the old saying that God won't ever give you anything that you can't handle. And I think, man, that is one tough son of a bitch, General Flynn, to be able to handle all of that. The family's finally released a statement, and it goes, as follows: abusive, intentional, lawless actions committed against the Republic, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and his NSA director and our brother, General Mike Flynn, by a vile cabal of thugs in the FBI, the DOJ, and Special Counsel's office, threatened the national security of our country and all Americans. Evidence of massive corruption by the Obama-Biden administration pour from the pages of documents just released, exposing the secret plot to manufacture a crime to silence and destroy General Flynn. In their own words, that FBI agents thought would never be disclosed, text messages reveal a concerted attempt to subvert a duly elected president and the U.S. government, and to destroy the life of an honorable man. The targeting of General Flynn is hard, fast, and pronounced in the release of FBI agent William Barnett's 302. He recognized the prosecution of Flynn by the SCO was used as a means to get Trump. This vicious attack of the United States National Security Advisor to the POTUS by an illegitimate mob of Obama-Biden minions robbed the president of his chosen, trusted, knowledgeable advisor, robbed the country of the benefit of General Flynn's vast expertise, jeopardized the country's national security, and stomped on the founding principles of this nation. Absolutely. The criminal conduct and malfeasance of those entrusted with the power to enforce our laws trampled the rights and lives of General Flynn, our entire family, and all Americans who cherish our Constitution. As our family's guardian angel of justice, Sidney Powell has yelled to the rooftops, there was no case against General Flynn, no crime. And the FBI and the prosecutors knew that. She has always been right, and now the proof has been laid bare for the world to see. General Flynn's investigation and prosecution were political, evil concoctions, and a total fraud on this country. The abject abuses of power of the Obama-Biden administration and those who deceived, lied, and conspired to destroy General Flynn and violate his rights must be held to account. He has been denied his liberty and freedom for 4 years. This must end. Judge Sullivan has one obligation. That obligation is to dismiss this case with prejudice immediately. The American people deserve to know the truth as to all the misconduct and the dishonest people culpable for their actions. General Flynn demands that the government unredact this exculpatory evidence. It is high time that Barack Obama and Joe Biden be held to account for leading their campaign of injustice against General Flynn, the president, the American public, and the rule of law. And that's it. No whining, no complaining, just a stern demand for justice in light of this new evidence. I hope that the entire legal team and the entire Flynn family get some sort of justice, because Obama and Biden being held accountable, I just wish I could see it. I wish I could see that, but I can't. I can't see that. I guess we can all hold out hope. And for General Flynn and his family, I will. Alright guys, like, share, sub the channel. Like I was telling you earlier, all the links to the information that I've covered in this episode will be in the comment directly underneath the pinned comment. The pinned comment will have any kind of way possible for you guys to throw me a tip. $1 or $2 here or there goes a long way. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow.